Welcome back to the SaaS Playbook, where we sit down with the builders, the operators, and the leaders who are actually in the trenches doing the work. No highlight reels, no rehearsed answers, just real conversation about what it takes to grow something from the inside out. This episode is brought to you by Hera Digital, revenue architects who build sales engine B2B businesses actually need. If that resonates, drop a comment with the word engine and someone will reach out to you. Today's guest is leading go-to-market across a portfolio of local government software companies under the Govineer Solutions umbrella. And he walked into a function that largely was untracked, unscalable, and running on gut feel. Now he's building playbooks, the systems, and the AI-powered sales infrastructure to change that. With 16 people across sales and marketing, a cloud migration affecting over 2,500 customers, and a serious AI focus in 2026 and beyond. There's a lot happening on Matthew's plate, but Matthew Mazankowski, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jenny. It's great to be with you. Excited for our conversation today.
It's been a long time coming, right? So I'm excited to dive in a little deep because things no doubt have changed drastically since we last spoke. But sort of going back a couple steps, you were headhunted going into Govineer, pulled away from another VP role to lead the GTM strategy across the entire portfolio. Now, that's no small feat, right? And what was it about this particular opportunity that made you say yes? And what did you walk into when you got there?
Good questions. I started chatting with one of the Govineer CEOs for a little bit, kind of while I was in my role. I was connected from a friend of mine, and they were looking for somebody with some of my pedigree to help lead what a pretty interesting scope and a pretty interesting opportunity. How it was presented to me, and the growth opportunity was big. So being in these roles for a little bit, my ears perk up when big opportunities come. And these guys went to the same school as me, so there was some kind of continuity, some kind of background experience that we both shared. And so, I was interested. And first meeting with them, very impressed. I've worked with some really great CEOs, but these guys are a whole nother caliber of CEOs. And seeing what they had built and seeing what they wanted to continue to build, both from a organic perspective, growing the brands that they had already acquired, as well as an inorganic perspective, M&A, where they wanted to go in the future, and the opportunity to have, kind of growth around multiple brands was something that I hadn't ever had experience with before. And I thought that was a challenge worth investigating. And so over a number of months of conversations with these guys, we were able to land on something pretty great, and happy to say that it's been the best experience of my career, both with my leadership team and with the team that I have the honor of being able to lead.
Yeah. I mean, we joke about this all the time, but it took me 4 months to get you down. So it tells me that you're super busy, right? But also it means that you've essentially hit the ground running, which means we're not just sort of talking one software deployment, we're talking multiple, right? So there has to be quite a lengthy strategy when we look at the GTM space, and what does inbound look like? What does outbound look like? And how do we maintain and measure those analytics to measure success, right? So those are some finer details I'd love to pick your brain about. I'm not sure how much secret sauce you can spill, but I think it'd be valuable to, obviously, there are challenges for you particularly, but there's definitely people outside of this conversation that probably would seek value in that regard. But I mean, local government software is historically one of the last industries to modernize. On-prem installs, older demographics, long decision cycles. What does selling into that environment actually teach about GTM, and that you just can't really learn anywhere else?
I think the biggest thing is relationships. This industry, more than any that I've experienced, and I've been in a few that are similar. Restaurant space is fairly similar to this to some degree. It's very relationship driven, but those sales cycles are much shorter and a lot less red tape and a lot less decision makers, a lot less cooks in the kitchen, so to speak. With local governments, I think it's the thing that I've experienced over the past year being in this position is it's very relationship driven, both from a pre-sales perspective, a marketing perspective. And I heard this kind of going in, right? My sales team would tell me many of the deals that we've won have been 5-10 years in the making. And so you'll see somebody at a conference, and you'll get their card and they'll get your card, and you'll chat a little bit. You'll see them at another conference. They say 7 touch points is the typical. Maybe for this space, it's double that. Maybe it's 14, right? And so you do see a lot longer nurture cycles prior to an actual getting into an opportunity or a deal and running through a sales cycle. That early stage is significantly longer because it's that relationship. But I think it teaches you how to build relationships. Some of my salespeople are the best relationships people I've ever met. They're so good at building relationships with their customers. They're good at maintaining those relationships. They're good. That's just the prowess that they have. And so how do you take that? The question for me going into this, Jenny, was how do we take that relationship driven, really engaged and high touch point and personalized experience, and how do we take that so we can go scale that? And that is still the question where I don't think we have all of the answers today, but I think we have more answers today than we had when I first started. And I think that's part of the growth we've seen, what we've done to be able to grow more top of funnel, to do more nurturing work, et cetera, to be able to help some of that stuff. And then how do we work with tools and AI to generate a faster sales cycle? For example, coming in, our sales cycle was north of 365 days, north of a year. I firmly believe we can get that down to 180. We've seen that drop in earlier quarters with the work that we've done. It's a journey to see, can we get it there consistently and sustainably?
Yeah, I mean, it's no easy feat. When I sort of think about now, I don't know too much about governments and that sort of industry, transparently. From the outside looking in, though, I sort of see a few contention points, and what I mean by that is marketing with government entities would have to be so vastly different to any other industry, but also it being such a high touch point, it's almost like the focus has to be directly on top of funnel so that you have time to filter down through the stages when it comes to actually converting within 180 days compared to 360. So, I mean, there's so much to unpack there, but when I look at regulations and approval processes and sales cycles, it makes sense why it originally was set at 360. Because when I draw experience from the local governments here in Australia, in terms of software, I don't think there is anything that has been innovative in the last century when it comes down to local governments and RFPs and entities, right? Because it's just so heavily regulated. And now I'm not too sure whether that's a similar process in the United States or the North American market, but I would assume so. But how have you sort of tackled this since you've seen that significant change of sales cycle reduction?
The thing that I have seen, the opportunity, I should say, that I have seen the most of is just like any industry, when we're running a marketing motion, we're trying to get to folks at right place, right time. That's the lowest hanging fruit. And so that is one problem or one opportunity that we're trying to solve for today. We use a couple of tools, AI tools, to help us get to right time, right place. Those tools have been instrumental in getting us information that we would not normally have, under the hood information. And so that tooling has helped us again get there. There is paid ad campaigns that we run that are trying to get at right time, right place. And we have a referral program that we run that helps us get to right time, right place. Beyond that, there are other experiments that we are running. So that's like the bottom of funnel, how we look at trying to find those. I believe for our industry, there's X number, and I'm not going to say that number, but there's X number of opportunities every year. When we think about local governments, to your point, the industry has been historically antiquated and, again, relationship driven. And so you're focused on the people that you know. You buy software from who you like. And so how do we become the preferred and liked software in those spaces is the question that we are trying to solve for. So I believe that the low-hanging fruit, that's the first opportunity that we're trying to capture, is that right time, right place, low-hanging fruit. Again, X number of opportunities I think we have in every given year being with local governments. One of the things that I've recognized as I've been learning more in this space is that more and more are our competitors losing opportunities or losing their customers due to just dissatisfaction. Now, that could be because they're growing so big and they're taking on more industries and they're losing focus of maybe some of those core, or that they just have a bunch of people that are outside of scope of where they're really spending time and money and energy to support. And so we're seeing an influx of opportunity come there. And so I'm looking at, okay, how can I get to those opportunities, right time, right place, right? That's one part. We use some of that tooling to be able to get us there. And there's just beyond that, there's how do we nurture that group of SOM, that like very specific obtainable market that we can go and get today? How do we go after those and nurture them so that now I'll just say this for what it's worth, folks in my industry are stay with the same vendor for a very long time. And so they'll stay in for maybe 10 years. It's a very sticky industry. Again, you build the relationship with the person, you get integrated. It takes a lot of work to do an implementation integration. Our competitors are a lot longer than us. They're about 12 to 18 months. We're down under 12 months now. So anywhere from 3 to 12 months, just depending on the size. So we've done a lot of work on implementation to be able to improve that process so we can go a lot faster for our customers, give them a better delivery, a faster delivery of value. But when we look at those potential customers, I'm trying to see how we can generate that nurture. We're in this process right now, so it's all in flux, building the plane as we go, so to speak. As you mentioned at the beginning, when I came in, it was very Wild West. We're putting in all of the structure in place to be able to do this long term. But we look at, okay, say every 10 years they're going to switch. So there's X number of potential people in the United States where we're focused that can switch every 10 years. How do I get to those people specifically? You mentioned RFP. That's one. We try to get pre-RFP with our tools. We're using some other outbounding techniques to be able to go and get those customers right time, right place. We're employing demand gen to do that. And so these are all new things that the company has not necessarily employed before as a strategy. And so doing these things, we're early, but we're seeing really good results right now. Each of our motions that we're starting is, it's building our top of funnel better and stronger and more robust than it's ever been before. And so, talking a year from now, I think we'll be able to see the results from that. But hopefully that answers some of your question around that. And there's a big answer to a big question. And we could probably go into, if we weren't on this podcast, I could probably give you some more specifics of what we're doing that are the secret sauce, Jenny, that you'd have to twist my arm to give you today.
No, I appreciate that. It's a very well thought answer, and I like that. It sort of speaks testament because we recently got a promotion, so congratulations. But what that tells me is that you're obviously making a quite a significant impact, whether that is to the actual structure, the RevOps structure, or the actual demand generation. So that's something that's very seldomly spoken about. I think, especially from a conversational standpoint, people don't like to give out their secret sauce or their strategy, right? So we try to say spill what you can, but don't get yourself in trouble. Now, you came in and was immediately focused on making the sales function trackable, scalable before anything else. So it took quite a bit of auditing, right?
Well, candidly, I had two missions. We had a massive revenue number to hit last year, which, in all intensive purposes to, someone on the outside looking in would be impossible. And then not only that, but yes, we had to do that and then get the foundations in order so we could build a scalable, repeatable go-to-market motion and an engine. And so, yes, we had to do a couple of things kind of in tandem. Happy to report that, again, this is all my team. My team is amazing. And so we did something unique here. I'll tell you this. I think this is interesting. Normally, maybe a business of our size would have a president's club for probably your top 5%, maybe your top 10% of reps. You're just number one reps. Our sales team isn't massive, right? But we actually decided instead of doing a president's club where maybe a few people could go, we wanted to do one for the entire team. So we set a higher number than actually was budgeted for the year for us. Between my CEO and myself, we kind of aligned on a number that we thought would be amazing for our team to hit, and looking back, at the end of the year would say, hey, this is an amazing year for us. And so we put together this number, and we worked out a president's club for the entire sales and marketing team. So my whole team, if we hit this number, we would all go to president's club. So throughout the year, we made massive dents in this. I think we had the biggest quarter 3 that we ever had before, biggest quarter 4, maybe even biggest quarter 1. So it was just a lot of firsts last year. And, it was a nail biter at the end. But on December 19th, the team pulled the last couple of deals through and we were able to hit that goal, which was a double bookings year over year. So we actually doubled our bookings year over year, which was almost impossible for folks to kind of think about. And I don't know if we'll be able to do it again. I hope that we'll be able to do it again. the doubling, but chasing that showed me what the team is capable of and showed me that with the right incentive structure, with the right motivators, like I'm a carrot first guy, Jenny. Uh, if we're talking, we need to move the needle and we've got to make changes, then yeah, we've got to use the stick. But I'm a carrot first guy, and I prefer motivating people by inspiring people. And I think that Team Presidents Club did exactly what we were hoping it would do. And the team had never been more excited. And so we actually just got back from a Presidents Club trip a couple weeks ago. So another reason I've been hard to pin down, but we just had that trip, and it was awesome to go out there and celebrate with the team, their partners and spouses and their friends, and see all of the people that made this happen. It was an amazing experience for all of us. So that's on that side. And then on the foundational side of things, look, we had multiple companies with multiple CRMs, with multiple systems beyond the CRM, with different sales processes. So we really just had to go through and align everything around the same sales processes, the same CRMs, the same systems. And that work has been ongoing. We actually just switched to the same CRM in February of this year. So it took a while internally to get everything adjusted. So now everybody is on that same CRM. They're different CRM instances, but the same CRM. We brought on a director of ops to be able to help manage those systems. We're onboarding new systems now. I mentioned some AI systems that we're using. We have some tools that are very, very helpful for us that we never had before. We brought in a demo room. Man, for the local governments, Jenny, demo room has been a game changer for us. We found that we're not able to get in the room all the time with these folks where they're having the conversations. And this is probably similar in many industries, but it's very much the case for local governments. We're obviously not in the room with council and the board all the time, but we're not in the room when our customers are working things out amongst city manager, amongst finance director, amongst clerks, amongst different functions. And so having a tool that, so we've implemented this demo room, having this tool has been so helpful because they can take this, our champion can take this and go and take it internally with each of the core functions, show them the things they need to see. Maybe they missed a demo. Maybe they didn't get to see this. We can help enable our champion to be a inside sales rep for us, and then go in and do some really positive selling for us and help basically get everyone on board. And so that's been a game changer for us. It was crazy. We found people that are in there for 24 hours in the demo room. Now, maybe they just left it on, but like to the point, like I've seen ones 8 hours, I've seen ones 15 hours, I've seen ones that are 3 or 4 or 5 hours in there. And we have long videos in there because our product is absolutely massive. So, they're in there just spending a ton of time. They're sharing it with other people. It's been a great tool for us. That's one of the secret sauces I'm comfortable sharing.
Well, you haven't named the tool exactly, so that's all right. You still kept it secret for the most part.
There's a few demo room companies out there that are really good.
Yeah, there's a few that come to mind, but each have their own sort of shortfalls. And when it comes to tools, you have to really sit down and analyze, like, is this actually genuinely going to work for us, or is it going to create us more of an issue when we integrate something new? Because we're doing so much at the same time. More specifically for your situation, Matthew, but when we look at AI tools, digital sales rooms, pipeline intelligence, where are you sort of seeing the biggest shift now? And now that you've implemented all these new tools ready for 26 and the next quarter, where do you sort of see the focus for you now being within those components?
Let me touch on that one piece that you mentioned. I think it's important to hit on, which is, how do you evaluate a tool and how do you get everybody on board with it when you have so many different options out there? I take recommendations from a lot of people, and there are a lot of good sellers out there that recommend, and sales leaders out there that recommend tooling. So I think that's a big part for me. But when we're evaluating tools internally, there's a group of us that evaluate it. And I think that's been helpful for me because I personally don't see every angle, but our team does. And with that group, we evaluate really well. And then getting everybody on board. I mean, to your point, we inherited a group of people that are amazing sellers that are comfortable with the tools that they have in the Wild West situation. And so we've had to go in and help them see, hey, like life can be better with some of this technology. Your quality of life as a sales rep can be better as you adopt some of these tools. It's just there is a learning curve. So there's patience involved from our side. There's training. And so we've done a number of one-on-one trainings. We've done a number of group trainings. We've helped people see the value. And there's been a few key folks that have just really run with some of these tools that have been champions for us internally to help drive a lot of the adoption forward. And I have seen, like, for the demo room, for example, but same with some of these other tools that we've implemented more recently, I have seen those reps, their performance increase and improve because of those tools. And so that's a testament to itself. And that flywheel helps the flywheel get going when we have good folks that are trying to do that.
Now that we have all of these tools and integrations and AI and predictive and forecasting things in place, what do you sort of see as the focal point moving forward to the next quarter to really buckle down on?
We're kind of early stages for these tools. So there's adoption still on these tools that we need to keep focus on. Once you implement, you can't just leave it. As a sales leader, we need to integrate it into every possible aspect of our workflows. For me, in one-on-ones, I'm talking about it. In our weekly and monthly meetings, I'm talking about it. I've once heard that the purpose of a leader is to give clarity and then to reinforce clarity and then reinforce it again. And so my hope is that every meeting that I have, I'm refocusing the team on the tools that we have, the processes that we run. So there's still that work that we're doing. Beyond that, we are implementing some more tools. We're not done on the tooling, Jenny. Just for what it's worth, there's more work to be done adding some new tools. So we're working on some other tools that will help me primarily from a forecasting and deal perspective, as well as our reps from managing their deals better and having better insights and signals to allow them to take better action and make sure that deals don't stall out for whatever reason, whether it be status quo or anything on our part. We really don't want us to be the reason somebody doesn't move forward with us. And so there's some tools that we're looking at there. But beyond that, it's wild. The advent of AI and what Anthropic just came out with Claude, Claude Code, Claude Cowork, all of this is pretty amazing. So we use rocks in our company. So EOS is we kind of borrow from the EOS model. And we use rocks as kind of our quarterly cadence of priorities. And one of my rocks this quarter is to build a couple of AI agents to do some of my workflows that I do. And so I'm just started doing this, which is, I had my degree in information systems, which is like half business, half coding. And so like I built things in Python, built things in JavaScript. I'm not the best coder in the world, but with AI, you can build just about anything. And so the possibilities are incredible with what they've come out with. So we have some things that we're going to build, that proprietary things that we need internally to allow us to go further, faster, and build this into the scalable, repeatable organization I envision it to become. So that's a big part of our goals. Beyond, again, we keep challenging ourselves with bigger and bigger revenue goals, Jenny. So that we keep going. I watched a talk from famous Hollywood actor, and he said you have to have something to look up to, someone to like enjoy your time with, and then you have to have something to chase. And for us, that chase is hitting this massive revenue number, this President's Club year 2, and this growth for a business that we really believe in. I mean, I firmly believe we have the best customers in the world. We love to serve them. They're heart of gold, salt of the earth people, and it's an honor for our team. And so getting to work with them, I believe I have the best team, like the A team in the game. I just got off a call with our CTO, and he was like, honestly, from my perspective, you have an amazing team. And it was awesome to hear that. Like the rest of the org sees that we have an A team from a sales and revenue team. And so I feel pride and honor in that for us. And so we're going to keep growing that team, building on what we have. And those are the big things on the horizon for us.
So much exciting stuff, especially I think when we look at the intersection of AI, new tech innovation and technology, it's going to be interesting to see what that actually plays out in the local government entity space. But I'm sure if anybody's sort of listening to this episode is keep high tabs on Govineer Solutions, because no doubt there's going to be some really exciting stuff coming out from them. But I do have one last question as we wrap up. And you describe the job as moving the Titanic, right? There's just so much happening at once, and the ship is massive. For any sales leader stepping into a complex multi entity go to market role, what's one thing you wish someone had told you before you took the wheel?
I think a reminder that for me and maybe for anybody in this is it's easy to get into the weeds on an entity, on a piece of the motion that we're doing. But one thing that I would have loved to have known or just kind of been reminded of early on that I'm more focused on now is to take a step back and have more time in the macro, more time in the clouds. It's easy to get pulled into the day to day, especially with so much going on. When you're running a multifaceted organization and multiple companies, multiple personalities, multiple tons of history, I mean, you just name it. These companies have done an amazing job building each of their businesses into what they are. All amazing, all standalone, all incredible. So you go into that, you don't want to break anything, right? You want to just build on what's good and then kind of like improve as where you can, and then hopefully grow it to in a meaningful way and find opportunities to take it from where it is to an even bigger and better place. And so I tend to like get in, try to understand everything, get in the weeds. And then sometimes it's easy. And again, I just got off a call with my CTO and we were talking about this, but it's easy to get stuck in the weeds where, okay, now we're just blocking and tackling. But it's so important, I believe, to take a step back and just have this more macro view of things of like, are we doing the right things? Is this the right use of my time today? So more of my days now, Jenny, are spent still in the weeds, but more of my time is spent, hey, I'm kicking myself back out of the weeds and saying, okay, am I making the impact that I want to make here? That's where the rocks come into play. They've been helpful. We didn't start those right away when I started, but those were helpful to implement because then it gave me more of a macro focus and a team permission to focus on things that aren't less day-to-day blocking and tackling. So there's that piece of it. And then I kind of touched on this in this answer, but I would also say when you have and you're bringing in multiple organizations, one thing we've seen with our competitors who are doing this, so M&A is a big part of our strategy. When we look at what not to do, and this is a learning experience for me, and I'm not saying that we did any of this. I think we've done a good job, a really good job actually. But what it's been a learning experience for me is watching some of these other companies sadly kind of fail to some degree, fail their customers from an M&A perspective, changing too much too soon. And so we have to balance, hey, we want to move fast. We want to move quickly. We want to grow at the highest speed that we possibly can. But at the same time, we need to preserve the culture. We need to preserve the customer experience. We need to preserve the brand equity that we've built up. And so we need to take that into account as we look to grow. And that's been less of something, maybe it would have been nice to know that early on, but it's been a really nice learning experience throughout this to see that and to see how my CEOs personally are actively involved in making sure the brands, the companies, the people in those companies are taken care of and that part of it is preserved because that's like what made them so great in the first place. So for us, Govineer, we don't come in and like flip tables. We come in and partner together to take a amazing org to another level. And that has been for me very rewarding. I never experienced anything like that prior to this job. And so to be able to have that opportunity, it's like I'm very grateful for it. Yeah. It's you get to work with some of the best people and these guys do a really good job of bringing in great companies with great people. We just made another acquisition that finished in February. And so, I think more M&A is on the horizon for us and that integration style, which I think works so well, we're going to continue to execute on that as the months and years go on here.
There's plenty for you to do. It just even sounds like in the next quarter, but Matthew, this one's been jam-packed with information, in your portfolio model, the cloud migration, the AI build out, the tools, and what it actually looks like to modernize a sales function from the ground up. And a lot of leaders are going to hear this and recognize exactly where they're sitting right now. Links to connect with Matthew and learn more about Govineer Solutions will be in the show notes. And if you're ready to build a sales engine that converts, you know where to find me. But in the meantime, keep building meaningfully. And thanks for joining, Matthew.
Thank you, Jenny. Been a pleasure.